Um, I'm Deborah. People used to call me Debbie, some call me Deborah. I'm Deborah Kayembe, and I will say, first of all, I am the daughter of my father before anything. Um, and my father was a professor, a single dad for a while when I was a young girl. I copy him, his strength to be a parent of many children alone. And then over the years, I grew up very quickly because I have to leave my own family. I was accepted by my aunt and her home, where it was not my home, it was not my place, it was a place of sanctuary for me, one way or another. But it was said, you're here because we give you space. Here is better than where you've been with your father and your family. That made me going very, very, very fast. And to get to womanhood was whether I have to decide what I do in my life and being responsible about it and get away from the place I was safely. That was the key. You know, I'm here. It's not my home. It's someplace, people someplace, and it's relatives. But I won't stay with my relative. I want to grow up very quickly, and very quickly I understood that the key to my freedom was my education. So I took my education very seriously. I was very lucky because the family who took me in could pay for my education in a country where there was no free education at all. So my spare time, while my cousin enjoyed going out, having some time out, getting to place, I'll stay home, I'll jump into the books and read and read and read as much as I could read. So I became educated, self-educated myself from home, and then continue my education at school. So I was a brilliant student at school, very smart, very intelligent girl, with a life was heavy to carry for a 10 years old, heavy to carry for 14 years old. But I think when I reached 21 and went to university, I felt that, wow, this is the balance. I am at university and I choose to go to law school. The first year was like everybody else coming to the university. There's a huge number of students coming. Then the girls begin to disappear. Where we're going further into law school, the girl disappears. The girl were getting married. The girl were on the up with other problems. But I stick to my education. Then this is where I started the activism, because the year I went to university, my country fall into civil war. Many things changes. The new president at that time asked for the girls to return to the kitchen and the boy to have chance to have education because the country was struggling. I refused that. So I was going to university, studying, knowing that in the room there were less and less girls coming, and on the street fighting for my right to have access to education. Going to the street claiming that our girls, I, a girl, I have a right to education. More the year were going, more things are getting tougher in the country, and the girls are just abandoning their education. I remember the time we finished university, we were just 5 girls completing the whole law school, and 400 boys there. Well, for the family, or my family in general, that education was too much. I was told at that time, it was too much education. So I had to step back and to be conform on my life as a future wife or a mom, to be prepared to be a mom. At the time I finished law school then, I was not married, I was not engaged, I had no children. It was quite what they call in DRC, an unusual woman, because at 25, no husband, no being engaged, no children. Unusual, they used to call us unusual. With a very little feature in the society, very little consideration in society. But that didn't bring me down. So, well, I got here already. What next? Go to the profession. But I grew up on activism, and my reputation grew at the time I was still doing my activism at university. And my reputation followed me. I was the shadow of my reputation. So people hardly see the problem, but they see is very determined young woman with another kind of a new generation of African young girls who are going far in education and hoping to be successful and to succeed in everything we're doing. So I went to the bar. I joined the bar first, and almost 4 or 5 months later, throughout the process. It was a longer process, but I was then, when I joined the bar, the youngest lawyer who joined the bar, a female lawyer who joined the bar in DRC in the whole country history. No young girl of 25 never made it at the bar. For the parents and my family, it was pride. They were proud of what I've achieved. But there was still this thing about this personal girl, this girl who's supposed to care for a man, who's supposed to be a wife to a man, who's supposed to be a mother, and that shadow disappearing and being just the strong young woman who just achieved a milestone with it. At the bar, the thing I noticed was that people will never look at you as easily that they used to look at you like a young girl in the society. They look at you from afar and they keep asking questions. Where is she going with this? Where is she going with all this realization, all this achievement? Where is she going to be? What is she going to do with her own life? Being at 27, no children, but this time engaged, although casting all the odds, being engaged to someone and continue with the education. But also at that time, I have so many losses. Mama passed away. My brother passed away. I think there's always in our lives a moment where you make success, but your entire existence is marked by the loss you have, and that loss make something inside you as asleep and make you another person, a person who, after my mother passing, my first feeling was I was emptied, completely emptied. I felt something had left my body, but a different kind of strength came then, because I thought, all right, whatever I do, my mother won't be ashamed anymore. She's gone. There's no feeling about that. Whatever I do, people can judge me. At least they're not going to insult my mother. She's gone. So it brought me in the sense of, now, in you need to be born again. And in you need to see the world without having to go to mama, to look to sisters. You on your own, and the profession you have, it's your sister, it's your mother, it's all this. And my father remarried eventually. And I got to that journey of where I started the journey of being places where there is no woman. So slowly I begin the exercise of being amount of men, working with them, but roughly earning my place among them. I think the first steps were difficult for me because I felt intimidated a little bit. Then more I get appreciated about what I was doing, I didn't feel intimidated anymore. I felt I am in my space. I am places where, even though there is no women, I earn this place rightfully because I'm competent on what I am doing. I am very good on what I'm doing. I got admiration. Then the activism took over when the country completely went down, and it had made a heavy burden on me, because then from all of my generation, I was probably one of the first who went to activism at that time. So the young activist who comes and look up to you to see how you can react on something that is not right, it's not correct in any way of living. So that year 2005, when I left DRC, I came to the UK. My first impression when I came to the UK, then I knew back home in DRC that the UK was the world place of human rights. The most successful place you see women being successful with their way of doing, their way of working. I never had any worried about race because I thought this is a place where people work together, consider together with respect and dignity. So the sad part of it is the minute I landed in this country was the treatment I had as an asylum seeker, the way the system treated me. For someone who was running away from danger to a place of refuge, I was treated as much as the criminals. You know, I have this first day, I remember that first day at Credon, where I was interrogated for 10 hours about why I left DRC and how I managed to get into the UK. I thought that was dreadful. It was dreadful. I just couldn't imagine such treatment then. But it just get worse and worse. The following morning, I was put in on a bus from London to the north of England, 10 hours trip on the bus. I mean, when I arrived to the city where they sent me to live in Blackburn with Darwin, I was unable to feel my feet. I was unable to feel my arm. I had no coat. It was cold. I mean, people looking at you like, what is this person? What she's doing here? Why she is here? I don't speak English enough, and I don't know how to start to explain the hardship I faced when I left home to be in the UK. But I think one of the things people always say, you know, being a woman make you subject to many things. One of the things also I had faced when I came in, it was the first question ever, where is your husband? And I was wondering, why they all asking me, where is my husband? Can they not just look at me as a person without questioning me, where is my husband? You know, and that was the first thing I've experienced. The other thing then, when I saw this resistance from other people about who I was, what I represent, before even coming to the issue of race, was the way other people were talking about where I came from. I had the impression I came from a well of dirty stuff, and I'm not supposed to just stay there and not live there unless someone authorized me to leave my country to come to another country. Because the way people were talking about Congo, the way people were talking about women in Africa, I found that appalling. And I said, but listen, in Africa there is education. Although we don't have the best school you have, there is education. There is kindness that I haven't seen here since I arrived. Although I have to say also there were some exceptional people around me who tried to barricade me from all these attacks, from all this mistreatment. They tried very hard. It was difficult. And you have friends coming to you, telling you, white friends telling you, don't listen to them. They never travel in their lives, so that's why they talk to you about this way. Don't listen to them. They are this kind of people seeing things this different way than you seeing it. So there was something I was determined when I came in the UK. First, I asked myself to do anything in my power to get respect. I will never let anyone disrespect me. That was one of the things I gave myself as discipline. The second thing is, no matter how hard it is, I will not be reduced to nothing. I will do no matter things that dignify me, dignify what I represent, dignify who I am, to get to a place that I am self-determined to look after myself without anyone controlling me. That was the two things I promised myself all the way. So the difficulty was, how can people respect you when your country is the world capital of rape? every single thing coming about your country is related to war, it's related to rape. Like you're born places where there is no access to education. Again, that's come down to the wrong information they give about other people around the world, because there's always ups and downs. We are in the UK. Is everybody else in the UK is rich, or everyone in the UK rich? No. We have those who can afford the life, who cannot afford the life, who are struggling. And it's the same everywhere else in the world. So the conception about the country I was born, who I am, and the education I had was difficult. Even to telling people, listen, I am a fully educated lawyer, and I am a fully qualified lawyer for my home country, was one of the biggest challenge. Just people to believe that you are who you say you are was something that I just couldn't, get to understand why it's so easy. For those who left the UK, they are white, they're coming to Africa, they're respected as they are. And we come from Africa and coming to the UK, we don't get the respect. So that was the biggest exercise for me. So I never force anyone to accept me the way I am. But I ask people, if you want to deal with me, you must know who I am and what I stand for. It was the key to everything, everywhere I've been. I will tell you who I am, I'll tell you what I have done, I will tell you what I've done in my country, and I'll tell you why I came here. What I expect from you is to respect what I told you. And not to treat me like I was a liar, and I came here to tell things that doesn't make sense. And that, in that respect, I begin to grow an audience that barely believe what I said, and they had to somehow go to the other media to match what I told them and what their media told them. And I come up like someone who's telling exactly what happened, far better than the media was telling them. So it built something on me. When I was in England, I encountered two problems. One, the problem was I was not given access to further education because I came from a French country. So coming from a French country, the curriculum is different. So I was refused to go to university and study. And I have to find a way to be able to value the education I had in DRC in this context of the UK. So I went on studying English like everybody else. I went to study English. And then when I thought my education was well prepared, I applied to become a lawyer in England. My application was rejected. But then they say, there's two laws in the UK, you can try Scotland. And I said, I'll try Scotland. And I was accepted in Scotland. So the reason why I took my children, myself in a van, a woman on her own with the children, traveling all the way from down south to the north for a better life. But most of all for peace, because I'm a woman who survived a divorce, So I get there. I get to Edinburgh. And a new life starts in Edinburgh. So I think the biggest key to what I have become today, it was that I never wanted to let go on my activism. I personally went to the Scottish Refugee Council, knocked to their door and said, listen, I'm an activist and I'm here to give you my expertise. I'm here to continue the campaign for the refugees and campaign for human rights. And thank God they opened the door for me. They welcomed me with the Refugee Speaker Program. This is where I started, with the Refugee Speaker Program. So the Refugee Speaker Program was, you go to places to tell your story, you go to places to tell how you feel about things, the way it's going in the country. Well, the country was changing very fast. Scotland wanted to become independent. The Brexit vote was coming in. So the hatred around people was really being seen. I came to the UK, then it was like 12 years ago, and then suddenly people start questioning you on the street. Why did you come in this country? Suddenly people start questioning you. Oh, what are you going to do with your children? You're on your own as a woman. And I said, as a woman, I can raise the children on my own. It's not impossible, And for my children, they have been through a lot. because of the absence of their father in their life, but also because of the fact that they were raised by a single mom. They faced the injustice in school compared to the other children in school who have their mom and dad. They've always been the bad student, even though they've done nothing wrong. They'll always be the bad ones. And worst, because they were black children. So you can feel that on every day. And I did not let this down. I walked straight on and I said, listen, my children, they have the same rights than any other children in the school. And me as a parent, I have the same rights as parent, as a single mom. Because that was another battle with me. I never felt the heaviness of being a single mom than in primary school with my children. You can see the discrimination on the way the ed teacher are dealing with this situation that happened with children in school this time to time. They call you to ask your children to change while your children done nothing wrong, but they not call the parent to have mom and dad because they want peace in the other family. I find that disgusting. And as I continue to advocate for refugees in this country and telling everyone the story that I had gone through as a refugee in this country, then I managed to get my company together, interpreting and translation. I work as a civil servant for the UK government, for Her Majesty the Queen. All the system that was put in the UK to work as a translator, as an interpreter, until I get to serve the United States of America as an interpreter and translator. I learn stories of refugees from around the world through my work as a translator and interpreter. And that made me a better activist. Because then I know cases. I know how each and every country around the world treat human beings in the way of recovering, in the way of refuge. Many people are quite surprised when they come to me talking about the activism and how I tell the stories about the refugee. How did I manage to do that? It's through my work as an interpreter and translator. Over 12 years, I fully completed 1 million interviews, 1 million people settling around the world through my work as an interpreter and a translator. So that gave me the strength I needed. It gave me the door, the stories that no one never heard. But when it comes to the table of the decision makers, I know exactly where is the weakness and where to correct that. So I was then called at the Scottish Refugee Council to become a board member. Throughout the Scottish Refugee Council, the Young Academy of Scotland wanted to have refugees with the Academy so we can work together to tell our stories, to tell our difficulties, so policy can be made from the experience of the refugees themselves. What was quite astonishing about me joining the Young Academy of Scotland, it was, while I am not yet a fellow of the Royal Society of Edinburgh, the work I produced with the Young Academy of Scotland brought me straight to the Royal Society of Edinburgh. So there were working groups. You have a working group for the Young Academy of Scotland, but you also have a working group for the Royal Society of Edinburgh. And not being a fellow brought me to this table, where now I started questioning content of some document they have, which I found that was not accurate. I told them these are not accurate, but I'm saying this on the purpose of finding the right way of helping, or the right way, the right narrative to tell, so we can give the right support to people. And that made me change so many things on a way of working on policies. So some policies has to be changed, some sort of things has to be changed, some program has to be changed throughout the work I have done and throughout my personal experience. I think my reputation went very fast when I got to the Royal Society of Edinburgh. And again, when in 2019, the Royal Society of Edinburgh decided to put a portrait on me. I think that was a kickoff. But then, through our activism, I break the glass. Because from the portrait you see at the Royal Society of Edinburgh, you don't have a portrait of a black woman. You don't have a portrait of a black person. And that breaks a sanctuary of whites and make people very sensible to that. We always have a portrait here. We have 276 portraits. We've been here for 260 years. Why on earth we're having black women on our portrait here? A black woman who was not born in Scotland, who was born in Africa, raised and educated in Africa. I wish people could understood why does this woman is on that portrait. What did she brought to Scotland? But people didn't see that. Maybe some did, but the majority of them did not see that. They saw a violation of the purity of whites. A black person is there. Then the attack on me became obvious. I mean, from the email, from text messages until the ambush of my car, you know, I had few. I had attacks. Whether I was in Africa, in DRC, through my activism, I survived death many times. But one thing I could not accept is being targeted in Scotland after everything I gave to Scotland. I have worked in Scotland. I have worked at the Royal Society of Edinburgh for free for years. Somebody else was to get paid for that. I didn't get any money for it. And I don't think my portrait is a trophy or a award. No, my portrait is a testimony. It's a testimony of those who come from far away and bring changes in a room where there is not been colorful for years, and bring some color and give a departure movement within the society. It's a testimony. It's not for my glory. I don't get paid because you have a portrait. If there was payment for that, I'll be a millionaire now. I don't get paid for that. But the portrait is there, like many other portraits here, a testimony of the work of people working to make a change in the society. When I had those attacks, there's something that, shocked me the most, was the silence of the Scottish government. The Scottish government did not care. I had my MPs, I have my local MPs around me coming forward to support. I will always remember the silent voice of the Scottish government. For everything I've achieved in this country, in Scotland, just watching things happening to me it was painful. It was very painful. Eventually, when I launched the Freedom War campaign, small people, ordinary people, not only black, but white also came along to support. And it made me, okay, but I can't lie to you. After I launched the Freedom War campaign, it was hard for me to sleep. It was hard for me to go out. It was hard for me to stay in the table. Even when I'm on my own, I think, okay, I've done something big here. I told the world about the racism that lives in this country. And as you know, the Freedom War campaign was a big, successful campaign all around the world. I had messages coming from Guatemala, from Latin America, from China. Everywhere people came out to support. I don't know what did that, but there was something natural about this campaign that people embraced on those difficult times that the world was going through, including the death of George Floyd, because the Freedom War campaign came just after the death of George Floyd. And there was sympathy, I admit, but there's also anger. People wrote to me to say, if you're not happy here, go back to your country. Some people wrote to me during the interview, the journalist made a big thing on my watch, and someone wrote to me to say, but the way I say it, you've done very well in this country, you're wearing a golden watch. It looks like black people cannot wear a golden watch. You got all sort of criticism, you got all sort of humiliations just to make you believe what you have done was not worth it to do. And that was what gave me the strength again. It looks like they got the message. It looks like they get it this time. You know, you tell me what I've done wrong to you and what gave you the right to come to disturb my peace. Because what I have experienced was a disturbance of peace. And then came the big one, when my daughter was asked to perform a slave dance in a room, in the school. And I said, a child was born here, she's only 15, and you're asking a girl of 15 to perform a slave dance? I, as mother, I, as an activist, never had the courage to tell my children the dark side of slavery. I never said anything to my children, anything about slavery. I wanted them to be taught that in school. So it's going to be just like any education they get, because if you, as parents, you put your children in the table, you start telling them the way people were treated, your ancestors were treated because of the color of the skin, I don't think our children will have white friends. I leave that space to education because I trust the educator knows how to present it carefully. But I was wrong. That day I realized I was wrong not to tell my children these kind of things, because then it went really bad on them. So I keep asking now myself where I am now and what I have realized, because I don't define myself exactly for the role I have today at university. I define myself as an activist, because I will always be an activist until my last breath. And I keep asking my grandchildren, how do I tell them this? How do I explain to them this friction between people just because they don't share the same skin color? How do I tell that to my children? Oh, my grandchildren, because my children, they've already got it, but in the bad way. They have suffered from it in the bad way. Raising my children as an activist there was a moment I have to say, hold on a bit, I'm not going to tell them that. I always try to explain to my children there are two things that are more important in life. It's love and respect. No matter how people treat you, it's love and respect. And if you exercise this, no matter how thing comes to you, it comes back to you, hurt you, you know how to react with love and respect.